Saturday, the 28th of December 2024, Trump has appointed Keith Kellogg, a lieutenant general in the military in America and a diplomat, as his envoy to the Ukraine and to Russia. And Putin has made a very short speech recently. Essentially, what the Biden administration are trying to do there is they're trying to get a ceasefire based on a guarantee that Ukraine will not become a member of NATO for 5 years, and then they said 10 years. Now, if Putin has any brains, he'll reject that out of hand. In my opinion, Ukraine must never be allowed to join NATO or have any NATO involvement forever. 5,000 years minimal, forever. Lots of people will say that it should never be allowed to have NATO membership, and that NATO is on the way down, that NATO will not be there in a few years' time. Certainly, if they lose in the Ukraine, it's a big blow to them. If they can't defend a country like that, which isn't a member, but they are in there. And an Australian was arrested there the other day, a prisoner of war, and the Russians are giving him a tough time. I mean, I wouldn't like to be captured by Russian soldiers. They are brutes, there's no doubt about that. But so maybe are the other crowd as well. So anyway, that's the story now. Lavrov has made a speech as well, and their whole problem with Ukraine and the Americans is they do not keep their word. The Minsk agreement was broken. Zelenskyy is the descendant from a government which has no legitimacy. There was a legitimate government there, and the Yankees overthrew it. They're now trying to do the same in Georgia. I think they've failed. They tried the same in Africa. They've failed. And I think what's happening is the Russians and the Chinese are warning all these countries. The next thing you're going to get, when they have a nice little democracy running, next thing you're going to get in here is you're going to get the Yanks in, running around giving out sweets to start a riot. You need to deal with them. I think these countries don't deal with the Yankee invaders like that. They shouldn't let them in there. They should have been, when Victoria Nuland went to the Ukraine in 2014, they should have grabbed her. Somebody should have grabbed her and not let her out of there. And the African troops in the Sahel, in Mali, they let her go home. I tell you, if it was me, I wouldn't let her go home. She'd be still in behind bars, and that'd be that. Some prisoner swap or something, but she would not be let go home. There's no point in letting the Americans into your country if they're going to overthrow your government, and you treat them like royalty. You treat them like what they are. Mercenaries, that's what they are. So in any event, Lavrov has made it very clear their big problem is they can't trust international agreements. And to be honest, I don't think there's any way you could ever force the West, the EU and the Americans, to keep a deal. A peace agreement or a ceasefire is nothing more than an opportunity to arm up. So if they get a peace deal in the Ukraine, they'll fill the place with arms. So the next thing is there's a chap there. He's in Finland. He was a journalist in Ukraine. I'll post his name under here. A link to it. I won't put up this video till I have it posted. And he escaped out of Russia with a bit of diplomatic help. But he says the conditions being meted out to Ukrainians is terrible. They're watching the internet. They're watching the emails. And one man emailed back his wife, and they had a wife, and his wife had a daughter to him at home, and he was away somewhere, and he emailed her giving out about Zelenskey, and he was arrested. So it's iron heel discipline. It's like the time of Henry VIII in England. If you open your mouth and say anything against Zelenskey, you're going to be lifted and arrested and tortured. And this is why the likes of me have this thing to say to Zelenskyy. I say to you, Zelenskyy, you're a dirty tramp. You have no legitimacy. You're a dictator, the same as Hitler. Your crowd you're connected with are Nazis. They're nothing better than Nazis. They killed Russian people there. They broke the Minsk agreement. Merkel, that old donkey of a woman, come along and said they only signed the Minsk agreement to allow Ukraine to arm up. And Victoria Nuland did the very same. They got it armed up. They broke the agreement. So how can Russia ever trust the West with an agreement? And that is something it'd take an awful lot to do it. They'd have to have me supervising it. They could kick arse. They'd have to have someone like me supervising it, because you can trust nobody in the West. They'll break every treaty. America never kept a treaty. not even the one it made to the Lakota Indians in 1868. Broke every treaty and will always break every treaty. I wouldn't believe the Lord's Prayer out of them. So the big advice, no matter what Trump, and I like Trump, I have great time for Trump, but is Trump will try to settle this and he'll try to show that he was able to do what nobody else can do. But there must be no NATO membership of Ukraine ever. There must be, Zelensky must be kicked out and got out. Throw him over there into some out place in Florida and let him hole up there with his wealth. He has to be got rid of. There has to be new elections in Ukraine, and there has to be strict supervision to make sure they don't come along and go back and unwind the clock. Ukraine must be, even what's left of it, must be guaranteed independence, and there must be European maybe, or American and Russian supervisors in there with power behind them to make sure the people are looked after. Then they must build it up and get a wee bit of help in there and try and help it from all sides, including maybe even Russia. But that's a tall order. I would say that by June you still won't have a settlement. Meanwhile, Putin is bombing and bombing and bombing. He's annihilating that army. And that's right. People in that army should run away. Get out of there. Young people should get away. Don't join it. Run away and get out and get to the west. Get to Poland or get to Germany. Get out of it wherever you go to a neighbouring country. Zelensky is not worth using one drop of blood. He's not. He's a nobody and he's a tyrant. And do you know what the most recent thing he's doing is? He's banning the churches. So the Christian churches are now coming under the mallet. You see, this is what he is. He's no better than Stalin, and he needs to get his ass kicked, as the fellow said. He should be put on trial, but that'll hardly happen. So he's a criminal. That's all he is, and he deserves no support. The quicker this war is wrapped up, and then when he's out of the way and got rid of, you might have some peace. He should not have been invited to Notre Dame Cathedral. He shouldn't be invited there. The cheek of that French President Macron to invite that fella who is banning Christianity in his own country. Zelensky is no good for anybody. A bad, dirty, rotten rascal, and the crowd that support him are no better. A crowd of Nazis. We didn't like it in the Republic of Ireland when we perceived our nationalist neighbours in the north being abused, murdered and killed by unionists in the north. We didn't like it. Jack Lynch said, we won't stand idly by. We didn't like that. And they brought them down to Templemore and housed them down there in Templemore. And yet this is exactly what happened in Russia. And then you have the Western media trying to say the Ukraine started with on the 24th of February 2022. It did not start. It's gone on for a couple of decades, and there will be none of this only for the rascals that are in the American Democratic Party. Irish Fine Gael Party are no better. Fianna Fáil only slightly better. Sinn Féin no better either. Trotskyites and Ken Starmer, they all love Europe. Thanks be to God, Europe is going down the drain, and thanks be to God, at least we have we have Trump there. So I'll see you back soon. That's the story. Putin is not going to. He had an interview recently. He only said 4 words, and Lavrov is his right-hand man, and he makes it quite clear: we're not trusting you, crowd, again. I cannot see any international body that could uphold international agreements anywhere. They won't do it. The right thing for Russia to do is take the whole Ukraine over and run it and end the whole nightmare once and for all. It's the only thing, because they'll never get agreement. NATO will come lipping in there again. And don't forget BlackRock Developments and Vanguard and all these greedy villains were trying to grab the Ukraine. They were trying to grab Russia. It's a proxy war to try and cripple Putin and get him out of there. They never thought Russia would rise up again, and Putin has managed to do that, and they want him out of there. And it's him they're after. It's the same through the last 6-8 years in America. It's Trump they were after. They were after Trump, and they were after Trump because Trump was for the common man. So they're actually after you and me over there, people like you and me. So this is what these people do. I can see through them very, very easy. So folks, comment underneath, give your views, and we'll see you back soon. Thank you.